Adam Lambert, a Jewish singer who gained fame in 2009 as the runner-up on American Idol, is currently in a new production of the hit 1966 musical Cabaret. He is facing an unexpected issue that he feels he must address as a Jewish creator. Audience members are laughing at a joke in the second act that is intended to be shocking and anti-Semitic. If you haven't seen Cabaret yet, which I think you should really do something about, the musical is set in a Berlin cabaret establishment called the Kit Kat Club during the late 1920s and early 1930s. As Nazism gradually emerges in the German capital, it is infiltrating even the most bohemian of venues during the twilight of the Jazz Age. The club was intended to be a distraction from the impending darkness, but in the end, it is neither an escape nor a safe zone. The play, which was written by Joe Masteroff, a Jewish veteran of World War II, and features music by Kander and Ebb, a Jewish songwriting duo, is in some ways a love story between Cliff, an American author living in Berlin based on Christopher Isherwood, and a cabaret actress named Sally Bowles. However, the character who is the focus of the musical is the cabaret's master of ceremonies, who is referred to as the MC. Joel Grey, who is a Jewish gay man, portrayed the role of the MC in the original Broadway production and the cult classic movie from 1972. At that time, Grey, who is the father of Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing, did not publicly disclose his sexuality. Some people could say that Grey's performance as the villainous character was what made the play the classic, timeless success that it is today. The MC delivers a song called "If You Could Only See Her," in which he sings a love song to an actor dressed in a gorilla suit. He loves that gorilla and wants the public to see her the way he sees her. At the end of the song, we come to the conclusion that the song is anti-Semitic in its structure. He sings, "If you could see her through my eyes, you couldn't even tell that she's a Jew." In a recent op-ed for the New York Times, Grey remembers that the original joke was so upsetting and offensive to audiences that the producer chose to change it. At the time, the play was already thought to be highly scandalous and shocking. Instead, Grey sang, "If you could see her through my eyes, she isn't a miskite at all," employing the Yiddish word for ugly that was used in an earlier song by Herr Schultz, a Jewish fruit dealer. The decision made the song's meaning in effect unclear, and Grey frequently writes that he would conveniently forget to rewrite the lyrics. The movie adaptation, which stars Liza Minnelli as Sally Bowles, has the song with its original Jewish lyrics. This causes a darkly humorous reaction, making it a significant scene in both the play and the film. However, in this latest revival of Cabaret, which debuted at the August Wilson Theater in September, that line, which used to be a cause of fear, now seems to elicit real laughter from the audience at moments. Lambert, who was raised Jewish in San Diego, has interrupted the play on many occasions to go off script because he does not want to ignore the casual antisemitism. In those instances, he has requested the people who are laughing to pay attention, occasionally repeating the line in order to emphasize the point of the situation by repeating those harsh words, and informing the people who are laughing that they are not made for comedy. David Regano, who attended the event earlier this month, penned an open letter that has now gone viral. In the letter, he expressed how moved he was when Lambert stopped the play at that point. He posted on social media, "This afternoon at Cabaret, while you were finishing the song, if you could see her, and you held the gorilla's face in your hands to say, she wouldn't look Jewish at all. People in the audience started laughing at the joke and interrupted you. People who found it genuinely amusing that the gorilla was Jewish, as opposed to those who laughed out of nervousness or shock." Regano continued by writing that he was shaking my head that we live in a world that didn't get the point of that joke. He then went on to recount how Lambert turned to them, and, while still in character, stated, "No, this is not a joke. Be attentive." Regano said, "I really appreciated that, especially during the week of this inauguration. Based on the acclaim you received for it, I think the rest of the audience liked it too. Thank you so extremely much. Lambert, who has previously toured with the band Queen and recently released a scandalous album that would be appropriate for the most disreputable of cabarets, replied to the post with a heartfelt expression of gratitude. He explained that the show is particularly significant at this time and that he hopes the audience leaves with a sense of empathy towards how marginalized groups can be scapegoated as political strategy. My goal and motive for every concert is to draw you into a community that you can't resist, and then to make you feel sad when we are taken away from you. There is a possibility that we can modify some people's opinions. Lambert's refusal to be complicit in any form of normalization of racism, even from the stage, is commendable. It sends a message to disenfranchised elements of the audience, which, like any Broadway production, draws many New York Jews and Jewish tourists. It sends a powerful message that he is on their side and that he is sticking up for them. It shows that they are in a safe environment at the theater, even if, much like in the scenes of Cabaret, the world outside is becoming increasingly dark and difficult to escape from. So what is making folks laugh? Is it true that they share the same anti-Semitic feelings that the audience at that imaginary cabaret would have? Is it because they are inebriated and unconscious of their surroundings that the show takes place in a real cabaret-like setting that promotes drinking and being fully engaged in the experience? Gray has his own opinions on this topic. He said in the New York Times article, "When I first heard about this strange reaction, my first thought was that these must be the triumphant laughs of the complicit, suddenly drunk on power and unafraid to let their bigotry be known. At this point, I am thinking about other possible explanations. Are these the empty, uncomfortable laughter of an audience that has chosen to retreat into the safety of irony and emotional distance? Are these vocalized messages a way of saying yes? Are there any audible white flags of surrender to the current situation? Everyone is indifferent." The theatrical performer, who was also the first person to play the wizard in Wicked, came to the conclusion that he is unsure which choice feels the more foreboding. He is concerned that we might think that the current situation will not have an impact on us, just as the Jews did in the 1920s and 1930s. It is also important to remember that when Cabaret was first released, the Holocaust was still a recent event. It had been just 20 years since the camps had been liberated. The laughter could be an indication that we have overlooked the very serious and distressing ramifications of that sentence. Since its debut in 1966, Cabaret has been performed on Broadway innumerable times with amazing MCs such as Eddie Redmayne, Neil Patrick Harris, Alan Cummings, and Adam Pascal. However, this is the first time in over 50 years that the character has been played by a queer Jewish actor. Given the rise of antisemitism and the threat to LGBTQ+ rights, the time feels particularly relevant. Lambert discussed the increase in antisemitism in the United States during an interview with Annette in 2023. This discussion took place before a concert in Tel Aviv, where he had previously performed with Queen in 2016 and even played Hava Nagila. Although he claimed that he has not directly experienced it, he stated, "I'm definitely witnessing what's going on, and it's terrifying. I believe that one of the problems is that there are a lot of false tales and myths being spread around, and they are terrible, toxic concepts that are not true. As a group, we have been blamed for things for a long time. I believe that the best way to fight against this is to educate people, share information, and make sure that we are visible. Ensuring that people are aware that the preconceptions and cliches that certain anti-Semites spread are false." He continued, "I think it's beautiful that there are a lot of people in the entertainment industry, for example, that are Jewish and are continuing to make beautiful art, and some of that art does sort of directly address that issue, without knowing that a little over a year later, he would be working on a project that does just that, and that he would personally stand up against anti-Semitism in a way that resonates with so many."